neither the enemy nor yourself and you will be succumb in every battle on that. So taking cue from his writing and prepare ourselves appropriately for a cyber war. We need to know ourselves and also need to know the methods of the cyber crimes. Reserve Bank of India has been issuing the circular time to time to information security. They have also formed a security subsidiary, which apart from looking after security of RBI, will also provide guidelines of the banking industry as a whole. The last circular has come very recently, 2nd June 2016, on cyber security framework in banks will go a long way in protecting the banks from the cyber attacks, which are getting more and more sophisticated day by day. In my opinion, and to comply with the guidelines issued by the RBI, we must do doing following. A, assess ourselves and know our current position on our abilities of thwarting cyber attacks. This gap assessment has to be done by the third party and report to the RBI by 31st of July 2016. Second point is there, although we have the cyber security policy inbuilt in our information security policy, it is now necessary to draw up a exclusive framework and a policy to deal with the cyber crime. Third, we need to interact more closely with the RBI, CERT, and IDRBT in understanding the modus operandi of similar incident in other bank of the other country and our country and share our experience with them. We must implement top-class security solution to collect threat intelligence and feed the same in our security operations central activities, so that this intelligence, when mapped with the regular events of the bank, suitable alert can be generated for us to take corrective actions. Some of the name of this type of software already mentioned of one of the dignitaries from the dais. And the next point is there. It is very necessary now on that our banking industry. Advanced malware played havoc at Bangladesh Central Bank recently. So, and also to few others bank. We must deploy the solution. This type of malware should be attacked internally from our banking system. And final, loss of customer data and misuse of some such data and our confidential data of the bank can result in serious damage to the reputation of the bank. To reduce this damage, we need to implement data leakage prevention solutions so that our customer confidence will increase. So a lot of software now has been developed from our country, and we are the banking industry, we are implementing it to using it to protect the data of the customer on that. Since information security stands on the three pillars. One is the people, second is the process, third one is the technology. We must engage experienced people without whom the continuous monitoring will not be possible to protect this type of crime. So we'll be like to thank you to all of you and trust on the banking system. They are alert about the cyber crime, and we are also very urgent basis. We are taking steps to protect it on that from the banking industry. So thank you to all of you on that. Thank you.
I will request my colleague in the AV console to please show the Bengal Chamber website with the thought paper. we can take few questions. So if you have any questions for the speakers on the dais, you may direct your questions introducing yourselves.
Yeah, you can go. Sir? Yeah, please go ahead.
Certain groups of people commit certain types of fraud, computer fraud. For example, the Nigerians, they are famous for committing thefts in respect of ATMs. To withdraw money in an unauthorized way from ATM. Now, would you like to comment on that? How is it that the Nigerians only have that kind of reputation?
I think the question you...
Only for ATM thefts.
I think the question you're asking is there a profile pattern of certain type of crimes? Okay. Yes, sir. Your name, please? Your name?
My name is
I think you can ask Mr. Ghosh how many Nigerian crimes have happened in his bank. But I tell you, when we talk about the Nigerian crime, it's not the Nigerian who have committed the crime. Like we have Indian Penal Code, IPC so-called, there is also Nigerian Penal Code there. And there is a clause, Nigerian 419, this is called Nigerian 419. Nigerian 419 is a clause in Nigerian Penal Code which penalize such crimes there. Yes, it was done somewhere in Nigerian, but all those ATM frauds which are happening in the country, they are not a Nigerian crime there. There are multiple forums, multiple hackers, and there are different kind of people who are committing it there. They take people from the remote part of the country, open their account, take their ATMs and do all kind of things there. It's not linked with the Nigerian. But I must tell you that the central part of the world, it's called Central Europe, this is a hub of the financial crimes there. But Nigerians are not involved. I don't know whether Mr. Ghosh will tell me, bear with me or no, but that's not fact. This collected because Nigerian 419 Penal Code specifically provide for this kind of a fraud.
Very good afternoon, sir. My question is to Dr. Rai.
Oh.
Sir, I'm an ethical hacker and an auditor.
Beg your pardon?
I am a certified ethical hacker and an auditor.
An auditor. Okay.
I represent an organization called Indian School of Anti-Hacking. Now my question to you is, like, I do work with the police, CID, and I audited a lot of companies. Most 80% of the crime happening in India has been stuck because of the Tor proxy network. Because the moment it is, when you say that Pakistani hackers has hacked into Indian site, it can happen right in Calcutta, but they are masking their IP with a Pakistani IP address. So this is what is happening. Now my question is, US has solved this problem 10 years back. They log all the IP address which tries to access Tor network. Because no normal person will access Tor network, they will access it directly. So I asked this to the telecom companies, do you have a policy to track all the people who access Tor network? If they do, you already have a ready-made set of list for the criminals. And it makes it very easy for the law enforcement department. So for Government of India, is there any plan to enforce this in the long run? Thank you.
I think you have asked a very valid question, but my first question to you is that, how do you define an ethical hacker? I don't see any definition of an ethical hacker. What is ethical about? If hacking is hacking, what is ethical? And hacking has been defined in the Information Technology Act. I don't know what all you do, whether you do work with the law enforcement agencies and to whom you sell the data. I don't think you, there is a legal framework come out by the Netherlands government there. I don't know whether you follow those ethical hacking. Anyway, apart from that, I'm glad that, I mean, you have a very good technical background. You are good questions there. So Jonathan is there. He's from the American Embassy here. I don't think I will be in a position to elaborate the American comparison there. But one thing, please don't forget that the internet is operated from India, from US. They have the all IP addresses are put at in America. They can monitor it. But when it comes to the monitoring the Tor network, I don't think any country can say that they have the entire capability to monitor the Tor network. The Tor nature itself, let me tell the audience, the Tor, T-O-R, the Tor stands for the onion routing. They are routing with layers and layers. Whatever somebody enters this gate, what goes out is totally different there. That's what the Tor talked about it. It's very difficult to monitor because you can enter Tor. Don't look at Urta Punjab and you go and find the search engine, you can enter the movie. No. Tor networks, they are not indexed. Most of the time, the real Tor network, they are not indexed on the search engine there. It becomes difficult. It's a challenging problem. And that is where I said we need to have a cooperation among the countries there. But please don't forget there, this is one area where the state actor don't perform. There is no incident so far has come up where the state actor have acknowledged that they have done it. It's actually the state actor performed with the help of a front end is non-state actor. So the cooperation in this area to track down Tor network becomes very, very difficult. This is a real challenge, and I think we need to work, all of us work together, not in the country, but across the country. Have I answered your question or?
Actually, I didn't ask about monitoring Tor. I was asking about accessing Tor. Any source IP which is trying to access a Tor IP. Anyway, thank you very much.
We can have one last question. Yeah. Go ahead. Mike.
So there's always a very fine balance which needs to be maintained between privacy and monitoring capabilities. There was a debate which went around in the country few years ago. This was on BlackBerry Messenger, BBM, which was a very similar debate because BBM had a very strong encrypted way of communication channel which was there, which provided that kind of a privacy for me to communicate with someone. But at the same point of time, the law enforcing agency wanted to make sure that they can also monitor those networks. And that debate went into a very, very different level of a debate, saying that as a country, we will not allow BlackBerry to run upon BlackBerry Messenger services unless they provide those capabilities to LEAs or the monitoring agencies to make sure that they can look across. I think that debate continues when we look at WhatsApp, because WhatsApp has brought in kind of an end-to-end encryption, and it depends on the kind of device which you have. Some devices support, some devices don't support. But all said and done, any messenger services which are there, they have their obligations towards the monitoring agencies to provide them that kind of a feed. And again, a very good parallel to that is a telecom network. A telecom network which is run upon today, if I make a phone call to someone else, no one is supposed to tap into that call. But there is a process of how you can legally get into it. It's exactly the same thing which needs to get applied upon when we start looking into the cyber world.
We are closing the opening session here. May we request our President, Mr. Dasgupta, to please present the memento to Dr. Gulshan Rai. May we request Mr. Arnob Basu, Chairperson of the committee, to please present the memento to Mr. C.S. Ghosh. And may we request Mr. Sanjay Sen, Co-Chairperson of the Emerging Technologies Committee, to present to Mr. Atul Gupta. Ladies and
account which I'm not aware of, but that scares me because they don't know how to use it appropriately. They may be working on a computer which is malware affected, right? Once such a crime has happened and money has been siphoned out of their accounts, how do you how do you plan, or how does the enforcement agencies like SEBI or IRDA or the banking regulator ensures that the bankers are actually protecting the interests of retail customers in general? Thanks.
So, Gupta will be say first.
Okay. So, if the question really is saying that are people exposed to those risks, I'll add on to your question and I'll give a real life case study. And this happened to someone whom I know very closely, and then we can go on to some of the specific answers from the banking community. A person was using internet banking very regularly, and they had created a shortcut on the browser. So, you know, you store on a browser it as a favorite, and you click on it, it goes to the bank's website. Now, that was the normal thing which this person was doing. He clicked it, entered the ID, entered the password. The message came, password not working. And in less than 30 seconds, a call came saying, we observe that you attempted to log in and your password isn't working. We want to make sure that you complete your transaction. We want to help you make this transaction go through. And then they got into further details where the person was extremely thrilled. He said, wow, what a service. You know, I want to do a transaction and here the bank is able to come back to me in 30 seconds. And it was not the bank who was coming back to the person. The moment it happened, and within the next 5 minutes, all the money was gone. So it's a threat which is a real threat. I think I go back to the point which was raised upon initially, saying the awareness is the first and the most important element for all of us to really look upon. Banks, all of the banks today have a procedure around it, saying that how do you go about reporting it and how do you go about establishing where it went wrong and who will be having that liability. So that's the process which is there. But I would go back to Mr. Ghosh just to talk upon from a banking viewpoint.
Okay. No, my first point is that we should like to build up the awareness of the customer level. So customer, we are always trying to give the message, no, what they will be not like to do. This is in one side, is very necessary on that. You say that sometimes now we say that any link you can open, you should be very careful about it. Any sometimes of the suspicious file has come for download, so that should be like to very careful on that. In the banking industry, you say that our internal part, nobody can be access any of the outside email, and they cannot browse to the website. Anything they cannot do, because it's a security question on that. Only they can be entered to our own system. So this is one side we are like to secure from the banking side, and also other side we are educating to the customer side, and we are regularly educating the staff side. Whatever new things is coming, immediately we are informed that. And we have another team working with the another area that is like Bangalore and Bombay, and they are always watching that who are trying to attack us, and that information we are getting on that from the software. And accordingly, that things how we can be protect the bank. Every day we are monitoring on that, and we are working with our IT team, and they are newly have been developed new things and protect on that. So banking side we are trying on that, and is it correct on that? That is many of the hackers is trying to attack to the banking system in India. So it's only, I say that not only the part of the banker side, the bank should be aware about it, customer also should be aware about it, and then it's possible to success in this part on that. So this is the one side. And I also mentioned one point in the, or one of the senior person asking on that about the ATM part. So ATM part also should be very careful by the customer who is user the card. They are not should be give their password to any of the person. So we are giving it. We have a lot of experiences there. Customer giving the password to children and sending with the card, and card has been children is also not eligible to use the card. They ask to the security guard, and security guard using that card and in their password and withdrawing the money, and how much is giving return back to the children, or nobody know that. So it should be like to careful who are user of the ATM card. Not only the one side, the banker side, also for the customer side also, they should be very careful about it, their card on that. So I hope that this is an initiative of together, not in a one side, but of course we have the responsibilities to educate to the customer level, time to time, what is coming and what you like to do on that. Thank you.
With this, we move on to the next session.